Live tonight.
We on live.
Hey, why did it take us this long to figure out that there's music?
I don't know. I don't know. Matt, he didn't mess around with that. He was trying to get it. You know how Matt likes to have it all perfected. But we got music in the background. Like I feel like I'm standing in the elevator.
This is like phenomenal to be able to have this music playing in the background. I kind of love it now.
Like we in the grocery store, like just going down the aisle, like.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing right now, but it feels cool. I guess I got to turn this down now. Josh, you got some new merch on.
Got some new merch on. We got the finally got the gear. Got the professional dads. Also got the floppy hat tonight. The floppy hat is on. So looks good. I did get the black snapback that says iron sharpens iron, and I also got a navy blue hoodie that says iron sharpens iron too. So man, it's good. They're good quality. Everybody gonna wish that they had these though, you know.
I got my professional dad on tonight.
There we go. They gonna wish they had them soon. We'll give them an option to give it soon though.
Nice. Hey guys, we got a treat tonight.
Okay.
We got a guest getting ready to come in. He's in the waiting room right now. I'm gonna bring him in just a second. And matter of fact, I'm gonna make sure that he's not on the Google link that I sent and get on the Restream link. So we're gonna make sure we get this thing right. But tonight, man, we're talking about strong hands, soft hearts, and I got to tell y'all some stories about how I failed royally again at not having a soft heart when dealing with these little boys. But tonight we're going into this. We're hitting it hard. Fatherhood requires both strength and tenderness, and leading with courage and loving with compassion. Yeah. So, guys, let me just toss it over there to you. I'm gonna do some technical difficulties real quick, and then I'm gonna be back on you. Y'all just chop it up. What's that mean to you?
Man, I think Devo and I are in that same boat. like the I think we talk about it every week, like with parenting kids these days, different than how we were parented. But yeah, my dad was always, there was tenderness there. I don't remember a whole lot of that when I start to think about like, what was your childhood like? Man, shoot, I got my butt whooped. I deserved it probably, but I do know there was always tenderness there from my parents, my grandparents, all of that. And I'll say it again. I'll say it all the time is I wish I had listened to that and been able to find the tenderness with the strength. Cause now that my kids are older, in case in point tonight, Eric's talking about failing miserably. Hudson and I were sitting here watching the college football rankings, and I was eating some peanuts and I had water. And, peanuts are kind of loud in your ear. So he said, we were talking about Virginia and how Virginia would get into the college football playoff, just what we were talking about before we came on. And he said, so Virginia would get in because of the way he explained it was right. But to me, it wasn't right. Like I was like, so I grabbed the remote and I turned the volume up. And he's like, Dad, you ain't got to turn the volume up, like, and do all that. Like I just was asking a question. So I didn't say anything, but it's what he watched me do. He knew I was getting frustrated. I'm like, well, hold on. I said, one, I want to explain it to you properly. But two, I'm chewing on these habanero peanuts and they're hot. So I can't hear the TV and hear you at the same time. But I caught myself because he said, you don't got to do all that. Like I just was asking a question. So he could sense a little bit of frustration. And I'm like, okay, pull that back because I'm trying to go strength. Like, man, I'm not listening. I can't listen to Reese Davis because you're running your mouth is what I wanted to say. So let me turn it up. But he caught me with my mood and my tone instead of, he caught the strength instead of the tenderness. So you want to talk about failing miserably? I went ahead and failed like minutes before we jumped on. So,
hey, at least you get a chance to have a redo. I feel like I have to wait a while because every time I try to do something to correct myself, I get further and further behind on this whole having having the soft. I keep messing up. But look, before I tell my story, we got a legend.
That right.
We got a legend on with us tonight. Devo said he was going to introduce you, but I said no.
Devo, come on, man.
What's up? Doctor, good old frat. What's going on?
When we're talking about strong hand, soft heart, leading with heart, we got to go to the dean, the doctor, the good Dr. Harry Williams is with us tonight. I told y'all that we were gonna have a guest. We got somebody who truly knows about raising wonderful, wonderful children, and he's gonna tell his story about his sons and his journey through fatherhood. But man, I've known this man for over 30 years of my life, and when I tell you, mentor, friend, boss, twice, 3 times actually. Just a really good man that when we offered the opportunity for him to come on to the Professional Dads podcast, he said, "Tell me when." And so I'm very honored. Dr. Williams, tell the folks that may not know you who you are. Tell my podcast friends.
Well, first of all, one thing I got to figure out how to get in the live show. Right, so I was sitting there waiting. I got on at 8:45, waiting. I did my meeting, but I didn't do the live stream. So I apologize to all of you dads for joining late. When Eric invited me to be a part of this very special program, I didn't hesitate, because anytime you can get positive male role models, positive leaders in the community talking about great things with their children, I'm all in. So Eric, thank you for this, and dads who are on this call, thank you for being who you are, and it's an honor to be on the same space with you in a live space to talk about the powerful things that we model every single day. And it's all about, modeling the behavior that you expect others to follow. And your children, as you all know, they watch you, and they watch everything you do. They listen to everything that you say, all your movements, all your even how you get up, even how you walk, even how you talk. They see you, and they emulate it, and they will repeat it. And it starts really early on. So I'm humbled to be here. As Eric said, I've known him for over 30 years. I went to Appalachian I'm from North Carolina, proud mountaineer. I spent almost 20, over 20 years in Boone, living there, raised both of my boys were born in Watauga County, and went to public school there. And then we moved to Chapel Hill, and went to school in Chatham County, and then left Chatham County and went to Delaware. And you guys may not know where Delaware is. It's a little small state up in the eastern part of our great country, not too far from Washington, D.C. Spent 10 years there, and that's where they got their high school education, and then went on, and now I'm in Washington, D.C., working here for a nonprofit called the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. It's an organization that focuses exclusively on supporting HBCUs in this country. I've been doing that now for 8 years, and both of my boys have graduated from college, and I am a granddad. So nobody on this call is a granddad. I can tell you that right now, because I can look at you and see that nobody's on this call, and that's a whole nother story. Because I got two beautiful granddaughters, and the most beautiful thing about it, they are living with me, and I get to see them every single day. So that modeling continues. My son and his wife. I'm in DC 3 days a week, and the rest of the time I'm in Chapel Hill. And my son, him and his wife work remote, and they were living in Baltimore. And then I told them they needed to leave the state of Maryland, and move back home and to Chapel Hill, so to get their daughter in a great school system in Chapel Hill. So they're doing great there. She's in the first grade, and my youngest one is 11 months. So I get to see them every day when I'm home, and that's another powerful thing, that you get to be in their lives. So that's a whole. You guys will get that, okay, y'all. I'm just seeing you up there. You get it, because you're. It's just so exciting. So happy to be with all of you tonight, to just learn from you and just share with each other. I love the topic: strong hands, soft heart, and just want to be part of the conversation. So thank you, Eric.
Yeah, Dr. Williams, it's really good to have you on. And I was telling Josh and Matt, who didn't know you, Devon obviously does. I said, you're going to have a treat. And before we go any further, we always, whenever one of our co-hosts is not with us, we'll give a shout out to him. So shout out to Matt Curran, wherever you are, flying the friendly sky to make it back safely to us. We really appreciate you giving us the platform, as you told us that you would bring on guests and be able to learn from others. This is more of us kind of getting some wisdom from you tonight, but you'll be able to see some of our antics throughout the evening as well, because we definitely chop it up and have a lot of fun. But the topic for the night is strong hand, soft heart. We were complaining that we don't always operate with the soft heart, but quite a few times we've had to operate with strong hands, and so just gonna lean on you a little bit more, and obviously we'll jump in there, but just tell us about the journey through fatherhood. Last time when I remember the boys when I first got to App State, Gavin was in a car seat, one of the little car seat holders. Now he's about to graduate from law school. But tell us about that journey and that evolution from fatherhood and how you see your boys now as grown men.
Well, first of all, thank you, and Devon, good seeing you, brother.
Yes, sir. Good seeing you.
See a good frat brother. It is, as you all probably know, is the most important thing that any father can do is to raise their children and to plant the seed of excellence in what they do. So everything that you do exemplify excellence. And I have a very powerful wife that is very strong, and that helps. I was she was the disciplinary. I was the guy who came home and sometimes had to leave the room because she was being so hard on them, and I couldn't take it. And but I knew it was good for them, but I couldn't take it. I watched my wife my son was in the first grade. He came home and he had an assignment. He had to write his name like 3 times or whatever over and over again. And she was sitting at the kitchen table, and every time we would write it, she didn't like it, and she would tear it up, do it again, tear it up, do it again. And my emotions got all over. I said, I wanted to say, stop. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Mm-hmm. But what she was doing was tell them, don't settle. Just don't settle for just this. And she instilled in them, every time the teacher give you extra credit, and when you finish your homework, you do more. Starting in the first grade, you do more than what they give you. And you get what you're doing is disciplining hard work and doing more than the average person. And that type of early on, and it started really early. And we also invested in tutoring real early for our kids. We wanted them to get ahead in reading and writing and math, right? And you start in the first grade and you start in kindergarten, and you want to make sure that they have those extra activities. So we kept them so busy. It was just, some people would say it was cruelty, because they didn't get, they played when they played with their friends, but they had a schedule when they got out of school. It wasn't no free time with that. And what that did, it made them focus. So so speeding it up, Austin is my youngest one. He is a CPA. He graduated from Howard University, and then he got his MBA from Wake Forest. And he was a straight A student in high school and a straight A student in college. And then when he got, and it was all, it came so easy for him. But it was that first, second, and third grade of discipline that they put, my wife, not me, she put that in them, which was necessary to get him set up for life. And that was the most impactful time. And I look at it now and I say, you got to start really early with them. And it's got to be you. Can't be anyone else. You can't put it on the principal. You can't put it on the teacher. You can't put it on your Sunday school teacher. You can't put it on your next door neighbor. It's got to be you doing that, because you are telling them this is important. And when you tell them it's important, they will listen and they will do it. And I watched that evolution. So when he went to college and we set the expectation and say, you're going to go and you're going to graduate and you're going to do it in 4 years. You're not going to mess around. And it was tough, but it made him focus on that. So he graduated. His younger brother watched him, 4-year difference in age. And the younger brother watched him and his grades evolved over time. The older brother was ahead, but he worked even harder to stay up. So he wanted to go to Howard too, but he didn't have the grades to get into Howard at the time. But he said, "I'm going to get in." So he ran track, and he was one of the fastest track guys in the state of Delaware. So he got a scholarship to go to Howard to run track, and so his SAT weren't as high as his brother, but his work ethic was really good, and he ended up getting an academic scholarship once he got there. And he graduated with honors. So both of them graduated with honors, and he's in, as Eric said, he's in law school, finishing up law school this year, and he's going to set up his own practice when he gets out. My oldest son, I sent the card to Eric. I'm gonna send it out to all you guys. He set up his own practice in Chapel Hill on Franklin Street. He's got his own accounting firm. He broke away this year and said, "Hey, I'm doing my own thing." And so he's got his own firm. He's got his own clients. He's really leaning in. So what if I can share anything with the audience and with the other dads who are here, what has been the transformation for me to watch over the years was that focus, that discipline, and that unrelenting, not accepting average. And so we're not going to accept that, because that can be easy on you if life is in the way and you got things happening because you're all young and you got stuff going on, and you're still in some cases building your own career in that aspect, and you got to be focused in your career, but you can never let their focus be second. It's got to be first, because when they elevate, so it's about elevating them, and then they see that. And I see it now in my son with his daughter. He's hard on her, I think, but he got it from us because we were hard on him, and he saw that it worked, and that formula works. And there's no question about that. I've seen it, and I know you guys probably can attest to it too in terms of what you're currently doing with your children. So, Eric.
Yeah, no. This is good. And I got to tell you, many of our listeners and viewership is comprised of women, mothers who seek counsel in how to raise their sons. So we've got some loyalists who are watching tonight that may throw some things in the chat that may want to connect with you directly, and they're probably listening to that. So I'm glad that you mentioned Dr. Robin, because I could have used her 2 weeks ago with some of this extra credit work to get Ethan over the finish line. I mean, I tell you, it's funny because grades got locked in on Friday, but we had four A's, a B, and a C. Coming down to the line, and I told him the story. Hey man, I didn't make that first C till I got to App State. What are we doing? And it's like, just be calm. No, I ain't gonna be calm. I don't want no season here. And so, by the grace of God, a lot of hard work and getting through the finish line, he finished with what do you have? 6 A's and a B.
Yep.
And so he pulled it out. But then we had to sit down last night. Say second quarter starting today. So
now, what grade is he in now?
He's in 6th grade now. He's middle school. So we said, look, we ain't even thinking about what you just did. Now we're establishing what you're gonna do. So it was good to hear you say that. And talk in terms of that.
Eric, what you said, you and I had the conversation obviously last week when we talked about, and when it just clicks. I guess I have a question too. Like you and I talked, like I talked last week, like at some point you can push and push and push, and then it just clicks for them, and then they figure it out, and then they just go. I would say, I was always the hard one, the disciplinary one, just like I think Diva was, and maybe Eric is. We don't know. We don't know what about Eric. We still waiting. That's still out. But maybe Dr. Williams, I guess, would say, is that something that you saw? Obviously, your wife was harder on them than you were, and did it just click for them, or was that something you guys had to stay on that? Because obviously, when we all grew up, I was telling them, like, my dad, I'm like, strong hands. Like, I got my butt whooped. I got this. I got soap. I got all the things. But I always remember, and I was a preacher's kid growing up. So glass house from day one until probably about 9 years ago. So everybody always knew everything that I was doing. My dad did. Everybody did. It was always that strong hand, biblically based, dad to son based. But I always remember that soft heart on, hey, I love you. But I wasn't a sensitive son at the time, but it just clicked for me at a certain point. I think that's what Eric and I were talking about. Did your sons too, like, hey, we're gonna push you early. First grade's early, I think, to push. Some people think I'm like, all right, let's go. We push them 14 days.
Yeah.
I can get you life insurance at day 15. So we're gonna push you from day 15. But did you see that eventually they were like, you know what, Dad, Mom, I got it. Like, and you didn't have to push us hard until the next step, and then we got push again?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I can tell you the moment when it clicked. Then that's a great way of describing it. It was the again, giving my wife the foundation, because she grew up in a military family, and she was one of 7, and she was the only girl. And so they had some strict discipline in the house. So she brought that to our marriage. And my son, one day in the 2nd grade, the teacher sent home a note where he got into some trouble, and he balled up the note and threw it away and didn't give it to us. But he threw it away in our garbage can at the house. So we knew that the note had come home, and it was a note about him not doing what he was supposed to do in school. That was in 2nd grade. So we had a meeting. I mean, it was serious. It was a serious family meeting.
Oh yeah.
I called him in 2nd grade. He sat at the head of the table. I called him out. I brought the note out. I laid it out in front of him. I said, "What's this?" He sat there. His whole face just sunk. You know, he got caught, right? And I said, "This will be the last time that you would ever do this again. You understand? And let's do what you just said." And that was it. That moment, it was it, but it was not. I didn't scream. I didn't spank him. And my wife sat at the other end of the table, and we were together on it. And she saw that. It was like a moment that was like, they are serious. Right. I can't do this. This is serious. And it clicked just like that. And for Gavin, what got him was it took him a little bit longer to click, but he did. It was in middle school, because he played a lot. But he still had good grades, but he played a lot. But he got into trouble playing in class, and the parent he accidentally hit a student. It was a female student with a ball, and the mom called home and said, "Your son assaulted my daughter." And it was a serious call. And when you use words like that, that's serious. And parents, and being a principal here, you know how that is, especially when a parent comes. So we had to deal with that. And so we had a meeting. He said, "This is the path. You can go down this path, or you can go down this path here." I said, "But you keep going down this path, this is what's going to happen. So now you decide on what path you want to go down." And it was that moment it clicked. He got his stuff together, and we haven't had any issues from him since then. But so to your point, Josh, I think it's that moment. You can't predict when it's going to happen.
Right.
But you still keep that intensity of your discipline with them. But then there's something that happens, because I did the spanking when they were I really do believe in discipline them and not give them a little took on their little behind when they were young. But after they got up to a certain age, no more hitting, no more spanking. I don't believe in that. I think there's a period for that early on, but not after they get where you can really rationalize with them and help them to understand some things. And they do listen, and they respect you. I mean, as the dad, because the dad carries a lot of weight. And what the other thing that we did, we spent a lot of time with them. So anytime we had free, it was with them. We never sent them off to be with anyone else when activity would happen. We would spend time with, and we enjoyed spending time. And both of them were heavily involved in athletics. And we did traveling soccer and did track and field. So they had a heavy, intense schedule, right? Even to right now. So with their schedule right now, that prepared them to say, because my thing is, you're never tired. You're never tired. I don't saying you're tired didn't work for me. I said, I don't believe in that. I said you can do a lot in 24 hours if you focus. There's a lot you can do in a day. I mean, a really lot. We waste a lot of time in a day, but when you use your hours properly, you can get a lot done from that standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good.
I was mesmerized. I was sitting here like, okay, this breathing life into me, but also looking at it from the standpoint of checking the box to make sure I'm doing some of those things. So, Josh, Devon, me be having this heavy hand, you hearing it from the master right there. It's all good. I get a pass.
Well, let me throw this out there because I'm sitting here thinking, and like tenderness for me growing up was keeping the lights on. And putting a hot meal on it. Like that was tender.
True.
Like that was the
True.
tender. It wasn't I love you, come on. Or I'm assuming that story was probably one of them Chapel Hill parents right there where they're using those type of words, right? I know exactly.
Devo, you can say it. I know what that means. I know what that means.
But seriously, like so and given my background and coming up, you know, we're always like pop. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. You come home and from 3 to 5, you're gonna sit at that brown desk and you're gonna read your book and you're gonna take a page of notes and then you can get to go outside and play. Yeah. But my question is, kids are different today. Like, and I think another factor is you have to know and understand the temperament of your child, like what it is that they can do, what it is that they can handle, what it is that they can't handle. And so, like, Josh, to your point, when you were talking about, did it get the College Bowl just right? Like, I've started asking myself now, in 10 seconds, how much will this matter?
Right.
Because, like, I'm the type of guy where I feel like I have to turn everything into a lesson.
Same.
And I don't operate from that standpoint anymore. Mm-hmm. It took me 50 years to get to this point, right?
It's just clicking for us.
Right. It's clicking for me. Like, I'm not late to them. Right. So now I'm just like, I get it.
Right.
And so, like, now I try to ask a lot of questions to my kids and I try to be more reflective. Right. Just because our kids are super smart, like they're so much smarter than what we give them credit for. And so, like, my oldest, she's in DC right now, and my middle child, she's a sophomore at UNC, but she also went to School of Math and Science. So she's really like a senior too, because she's my street smart kid, so to speak, from suburbia. And so they're just different. And so my question is, if you had to go back and do it all over again, would you change anything, or would you still continue down what I think I heard you say, that regimented path?
Are you asking me that? You asking me that?
Well, I'm just, or what type of insight would you give to that, or what?
I would to answer your question, I wouldn't change one thing, not one thing, because I'm looking at where they are right now and what they are doing right now. And I know that had a lot to do with it. And to your point about children being different, yes, they are different, but they are also extremely smart and talented. And I'm watching his 6-year-old first grader now and watching the discipline that he's putting in her. She's got a schedule that's more, it's more rigid than I. She gets out of school and then go to after school. And then right after school, she's got Sylvan for an hour, and then she's got gymnastic. Every day is a tight schedule, and that's what she needs from that standpoint, because you can see that you can see that real active brain happening. Like your daughters, I'm sure that they were very, 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 especially science and math, they're very talented. And you got to stimulate that and you got to feed it. And one of the things that I think is important for young people, and I think, Josh, you may have said it, you just don't underestimate them, right? Because they they know a lot, but they know a lot, but they don't know anything.
They don't know anything.
They know a lot, but they don't know anything. Even when they graduate from college, they still don't know anything. And so they still need that guidance and that constructive direction of where they need to be heading. You know, when my son graduated from college, he married Austin married his I hope he's not listening now. He might be, but anyway, so he wanted to buy his wife now. She's they met in college, and she graduated from North Carolina Central Law School, and he wanted to buy her a new car. I said, don't do it. I said, you don't need a new car. I said, get a jalopy. That's all you need. No, she graduated. She earned this, and said we can afford it. I said, don't get that car. So he went out there and bought her a Porsche. Ooh. At 24 years old, 25 years.
Get it in. I like that gift. Come on.
Sheesh.
Well, no, he didn't buy her. He went into debt.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I was saying that's when you pop down the tapes of Dave Ramsey.
So he bought, he did it. I would have never done that.
Yeah.
But he did it. And guess what? They're making the payments. They're doing it. You know, they're but that's something different. But I try to coach him and say, you don't need that now. You can get it, but you don't need that now. But this, to your point, this generation, they look at stuff differently, and we want it now, and there's no delayed gratification. It's instant gratification because we want it, and we earn it, and we need it. Yeah. And I said, you do earn it, you do need it, you want it. I said, but there's a time for it because now you gotta pay all the stuff that goes with a car like that. But he was determined to do it. But we literally got in a shouting match over it. And I said, and then I knew, Josh, to your point earlier, it clicked that moment that what I'm saying is not working. So
I think it flipped on both sides. Like it flips, it clicks for them, but then it clicks for us where we're like,
right,
it ain't even worth the argument, or it's not even worth saying it because they're at that point in life or school or whatever. It's like, okay, like my son now, he's sophomore in high school. I ain't been able to help him with math since like 4th grade. He's in 10th grade math. I never even got there in high school. So he's like, yeah, Dad, I'm about to do these and do this and that. He's like, I'm like, okay. But it's like, he's taken that, like, I got it. I can't help you, son. I can push you. Right. I can do all those things. But my point I wanted to make, and Eric and Devo, maybe you know what I'm going to say. I say it every week, or we talk about it every week. The only person in our life that ever wants you to be better than you is your father. Yeah. And I see that. I see that in your story that you just talked about your kids, that you want that you help them and push them because you wanted both of them to be better than you. And you talking about your son and his 7-year-old, he has that same mindset where he wants her to be better than him. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And people don't understand that because, and you know, we're men, like competitive or sports or business or whatever it is. It's like, well, if Eric's doing better than me, then he's going to get this, and this. I don't want that. It's competitive. Right. But our father's the only one that ever does that. And I see that through 2 generations with you just from those stories. Yep. And I don't think that people quite understand that, you know, moms have that mom instinct and how motherly and how loving and how all those things that moms are great at. Right. That's something I think dads are really good at. We want to push you because, and I look at him and they know, like, that's me. You get my son, me, and my dad in the same room. Nobody talks. Yeah. You're tired. And you're like, how the heck how they breathe? There's no air in here because they're all breathing. But my dad wanted me to be better than him as an athlete
Right.
and business and all of that. And I want the same for my son. And that's what makes maybe Devo can agree with that on the heavy hand, soft hearts. Like, don't you just see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
talking to myself.
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
just be quiet, or just,
Right.
he was talking about his soccer game at this weekend. Right. Exactly. He's like, well, because he plays travels, great soccer player, great basketball player. But I was out of town this weekend for his game. He's like, yeah, this guy got me in the face. And then I didn't get him on the ground and do this and do that. I'm like, so you're playing dirty? He's like, nah, I wasn't playing dirty, but he got to me and this and that. And I mean, they said I was talking trash. I wasn't talking trash. I'm like, well, were you talking trash? He's like, well, kind of, but he said it first. I'm like, and now I'm thinking back to my dad going, just shut your mouth. Just
Right.
play. Like,
Right.
let your play do the talking for you. And I look at him and I'm like, is it worth it? And I sat there and I'm just like steadily cutting my food. I'm like, it ain't, not tonight. Because I know I'm gonna have a story to tell on here, and Eric's gonna get on me, or Devo's gonna get on me, somebody's gonna get on me. But it was like, you know what? You can only say it so long until it clicks with him. And maybe it's at a sporting event. Maybe it's in school, maybe
Right.
it's with friends, but it's going to click at some point, and then he'll do what we probably all do, is call our parents and go, hey, that's my bad. I know what you were talking about. That's my bad.
Because you know that it's planted in by you saying it, you plant it in their head. So they're not ignoring you.
Mhm.
They just don't want to deal with it at that moment, but it's there. By you just saying it, and then it, like you said, it comes back. You know, to your point, Josh, you know, with I think about the Peyton boys, Eli Manning, the Manning boys, and his dad, and how those three boys, right? And they were all trying to outdo the dad, and the dad wanted them to be, and as you can see, they have achieved that.
They did.
And same thing with the Manning that plays at Texas. That's one. That's one of the other boys. So it's a legacy type activity where it can be hard on the child, but that's part of trying to get them. So like Seth Curry and his dad, I'm sure that they play. Seth was a great 3-pointer shooter, the dad, but his Steph is out of this world, right? But it was his dad that pushed him to be better than him, and that's what. You're right. That's exactly how I think about this, and which makes it important.
Yeah. And let's throw Mama Curry a little love too, because she was one heck of an athlete herself up there at VT playing volleyball, right?
True. Yeah. Well, Dell was at VT, and so was what's her name? Sophia, I think is her name, or no, I can't remember. Not Sophia, but I mean, that goes into, what was it, last week, the week before, we talked about the power of a name,
right?
Like your dad, like, hey, carry on that name, the last name, or carry on that legacy. And you may be a daughter and you obviously get married, but deep down, it's like you're carrying on that legacy, you're carrying on that name. And we talked about before, like, one of the things that I look back on, so I have a daughter that will be 20 in next month, and my son's 15. My dad always said, you got to talk to her differently when you talk to your son. Okay. And I wish that I had picked that up earlier, because she was an athlete and she was a lot like me. My son's very, I say timid, but kind of a little bit more emotional than I was, emotional child. I wish I had got that, but that's one of the things I look back on. But they're all different. We talked about that. But you have to talk to them differently. But that shouldn't change the structure, as you said, and we all said about, hey, this is what we're going to do. Because I did the same thing. You talked about them balling up the thing, and all I thought back, and I don't know if I told them on here, like my seventh or eighth birthday, my dad, preacher's kid, we used to live in this old farmhouse in Ohio. I'm like, shoot, it's my birthday. Hey, I don't like anything. I went and took a check out of my dad's checkbook. Now, some of the people listening, they don't even know what a check is. A check is a little thing of paper that you use to write on, but you get the money from your account when you take it somewhere. I wrote a check to myself for my own birthday. I was probably 7 or 8, signed my own name or whatever, but I hid it in my underwear drawer.
No, wow.
In my parents' house. So, of course, they come in. They're like, we missed,
Yeah.
you're doing the check, you're doing the balance. Like, we missing check number whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like,
503. Where that come
Bored it.
I don't even know. We got checks? What's a check? I'm playing dumb. My mom found it the following week when she was putting my underwear and my socks away because I was 7, not doing my own laundry. And they're like, you lied to us.
Yep.
This is money. This is hard. But it was a lesson of, we work hard for this. You stole it. You tried to steal it. You lied to us. All these things.
Yeah.
You want this is 2 weeks to ground it after school. No, my mom watched kids at the time, and she watched my friends. So daycare, all that stuff. 2 weeks in your room after school, no friends, no after school, nothing. Or 5 whoopings with the belt.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That was my 2 options.
Wow.
Taking the whooping all day long.
You better give me them whoopings. Man, I tell you what, I think I cried for 2 weeks.
Wow.
But I was not about to miss the time with my friends. But it taught me, hey, like, you can't, oof.
Gotta be honest.
You do
it. Yeah.
Get the whoopings.
Yeah. So it's but that was the heavy-handed part. But I do remember afterwards going, like you, like, this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. I never quite understood that until I had a child, and I'm like, man, I just whooped his tail because he did something wrong. Why am I crying? Why am I upset? And being parents different. Being dad's different too.
Yeah.
That's that compassion thing. That's where we have this question on here. What does it look like for your different ages? Dr. Williams, when you think about now as a grandfather, and you're looking at your boys, what does that compassion look like when you're looking through the lens of your grandchildren and reflecting your sons?
Yeah, I think the grandkids is a whole different animal by itself.
But compassion.
Yeah, she gets whatever. My granddaughter gets whatever she wants.
Right.
What I don't have any. We were in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago at a football game, and she went to Starbucks with me, and she wanted what's that matcha? It's a matcha drink.
Matcha.
Yeah, it's a caffeine drink.
Yeah.
And she said, Granddad, can I get one of those? I said, sure. And so the lady behind the counter said, are you sure this child should get this? I said, that's what she said she wanted. So go ahead and do it. So we get back to the room, and her mom went ballistic. Said she's not supposed to have that. And I said, well, I thought y'all gave it to her.
Right. And she knows what it is to ask for it. She must have ordered it before.
But she gets, and like this weekend we went for a nice little walk on the trail, and we were talking. We were in the woods, and we were talking about life, and it was great seeing her evolving and connecting to a different generation. But but we were actually in Chapel Hill, and there's a nice cross country trail, and it's got a little creek in it, and we were walking down there, and we walked down on the creek, and we got down there and got in the middle. I took some pictures of it, but it was that tender moment. So I'm really for her, it's like there's nothing she can't do wrong, and I let them do the discipline with her, right? And I'm just there to add support. And when she's crying, she comes to me, and I hold her, and I say, okay, I said, those are mean people. We're not going to deal with them anymore. So, but you got to listen to them. But I'm just, but it is so much fun. It's a blessing. It is God's blessing. And I know you've heard him say this, but it's a blessing that God, the circle of life that we have, and God's got every stage is a wonderful stage to be in. And to be in this stage now where you see your children are coming, and you can be in their life. And that's the most precious thing. I wouldn't take that for anything in the world, to be able to see her when I'm there every day, when I'm there, and watch her develop and grow at a different stage. And I don't do a lot of, this is how I used to do it. I mean, because they got to be parents, right? They got to do their thing. But it's just being there more in a supportive role than anything else. And it's fun. I mean, it's really, really fun. And I can see that. And so when you're in the moment with your children, it's different. It's a different type of fun that you have when they're growing up, because there's a lot more pressure on you to raise them, right? And as a grandparent, there's not as much pressure because the parents are there doing their thing, and we're there to provide that necessary kind of other level of support. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a great place to be in.
Yeah. That's funny because like when we at my parents' house and we're sitting in the living room, we're talking, we're doing this, we're doing that, and my kids start talking to my parents, and I'm like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Like they are not the same people that raised me. Like,
Right.
yeah, like, it's just so,
now you got McDonald's money.
Right
Now
right.
you got that kind of money.
Right. Oh,
They
now
get
you
to
can
go
get
to
the
a
Jordans,
movie.
huh? You know, go get a brand new iPad. What?
Right.
So yeah, I'm in no hurry to get there.
Right.
To the other side.
Right.
But I can definitely see the love and the different layer of like you've done your work, right? And so the groundwork has been laid, and so now it's you get to watch the fruits, you know, from your kids doing their thing in their moment. And so yeah, it's kind of cool just to kind of sit back and from a parent to watch my kids have the interaction with my parents, and they get to be loving. I guess I don't know what other word to use.
It's like this because it's like, oh, like I
no, it's like this. Like it's
well, yeah, but it's like they can't have that ice cream right now, and my dad would go, yeah, they can.
Yeah,
or at my house, they can have it now. I'm like, but I don't. And he's like, but I'm not you. We're not at your house. We're at their house. I'm like, man, you gonna get them off their schedule, whatever. Guess what? They're fine.
Yeah,
but don't they love?
Right?
Didn't they love going there though? Love being with your parents. I mean, it's a different type of love that they have for them.
100%.
Parents, you know, they can see it, and because I just recall my grandmother and my grandfather had passed, but my grandmother, it was nothing like hanging out with her and being with her, and so there's something that love is it's unconditional, right? Even when my grandmother, I recall when my grandmother got sick, she had a stroke, and she had to give up housekeeping, and she moved in with us, and we all, it was nothing. I mean, it was just crazy, but she moved in, and she wasn't mobile, so we had to have the bed in the den where we were all located. So everybody pitched in. So when she had to go to the bathroom, we all would take turns literally picking her up and taking her, and there was nothing but love in doing all that. Right. Nothing, you know, and I didn't see it as anything that was a burden. It was part of your responsibility, because I watched my mother take care of her, and we helped my mother with her. And so when she passed away, we were all in the room with her, you know, and so, but that was her fruit by having her family around her at that time. So yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah. I think it's a different spark. Like you alluded to it, Devo, and Dr. Williams too, but it's like a different sparkle. Like I see it, my kid's older now. Like when I walk into the room, because I'm the oldest on my mom's side, but I'm the second oldest. I'm like walking in, like, yeah, my parents' house. They're like, oh, geez, here we go. My kids walk in, they're like, whew, it's like the happiest day in the world. I'm like,
yeah,
what? But I think it's a different love. It's a different emotion. And like you said, you've already done the work. Here's the fruit of it. My dad, and your relationship with your sons, I'm sure, is different than when they were 7.
Yep.
And then now your granddaughter's 7. And I think that's you kind of get to see it from up here, 35,000 feet, and kind of dip down a little bit as you need to, or he can ask for advice. And I think it's different based on the parent, grandparent. Of some grandparents are like, this is what you should do, this is what you're going to do. And then you got the other ones that are like, hey, that's on you. I'm a lover. I love her anyway and love you. But hey, here's the advice. So it's you can definitely see it. You definitely see it for sure if you have kids and if your parents are still around, that grandparent grandkid relationship for sure.
Yeah. And it's a blessing to be able to move and to engage with them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Williams, so we have the professional dads on. Josh is wearing his iron sharpens iron. Every now and then we'll throw up a scripture here because we are Bible-based believing men. Tell us a little bit of your faith. One of the first things administratively that I remember vividly when you give your keys to success, first thing you mentioned was faith that motivates and drives you. But talk to us a little bit of how your faith guided you as a father through your raising your sons.
Well, nothing works without God being first. And I don't care how successful you might be or how successful you might think you are individually. If you don't have God at the head of it all, it's not going to work. You're not going to be happy, for one. And you're going to have a lot of stress on you, and you're going to be off balance. So I tell people very clearly, you keep God first, you keep your family second, and then you keep whatever your livelihood third. And you don't get them out of that order. You don't put your livelihood ahead of God. You don't put your livelihood ahead of your family, and you keep and you put your family right there. And then they don't keeping them there. It keeps everything balanced, and it keeps you balanced, and it keeps you centered from that perspective. And you get off balance when you get that out of order. and that's just and that's how I've lived my life. And that's how I tell my kids, when you're having some difficulties, you got to look at, say, okay, what do you have at your priorities? What are your priorities? Where are they? And where's God in your priorities? And if you got God first, I don't care what you're going through, because we all have testimonies and we need testimonies. We're all going to go through some difficult times in our life, but you're going to have some storms, but you can weather the storm because your faith will get you through it. Your faith will make sure that you are rock solid and can get through it and get on the other side of it. But if you don't have that faith there, you can fall and go in another direction. You can fall for this, you can fall for that, and it creates unnecessary tension within the house for that you have. And you want your house to be a sanctuary, almost like when you walk into your house, you want it to be a space that breathes positivity and that breathes a process of where greatness is going to happen in this space. And you are the only one that can create that. Nobody else can create it. And as a man, you may not like this. Some of people might listen. The man is the head of the house, and the man is the leader of the house. And so the way you go is how the house is going to go. And your wife is going to play a critical role in that. But the reality, how you set the tone in everything, even when it comes to discipline your kids, discipline yourself, you got to have that centeredness, and you got to create that and your wife is the one, in my mind, that's going to create that spirit within the house, that love that's in that house, right? That nurturing that's in that house, and it's in there, and that's where that energy comes from in the children, and that'll feed in to it. And my granddaughter is she gets up every morning excited. I mean, every morning she's happy. And that's what you want. You want them smiling. You want them being happy. So when they leave out that house, they know when I come back home, I'm going to be in a place that's going to get me motivated and excited. Yeah. That's important.
She want another matcha is what she wants.
Absolutely.
Granddaddy, go give me a matcha today.
Right now.
So, Dr. Williams, every now and then we will throw some comments in the chat, but I saw this one very important one from our
Yes, sir.
co-host, Matt Curran. Great seeing the dads on the other side of the screen. Dude, it's good to see you chatting
Yes,
with
sir.
us, man. We have had a heavy heart with the tragedy that happened in Kentucky this afternoon, and Matt being a pilot, we're always praying and lifting him up when he's in the skies. And so it's really good to see that you are watching this evening, that you're safe, that your family is safe, and that you give us the space and the platform to do this. So, Matt, shout out to you, brother.
Absolutely.
Big ups.
Back on next
sure.
Tuesday. Yeah. So
Sure.
I'm gonna switch this up. Go ahead, Devo.
Well,
Go ahead, Devo.
I just wanted to circle back because just like a great alpha man, your point that you made was just so poignant. Like when you talk about balance and making sure that everything is aligned and everything is where it's supposed to be, like I think that's where I missed the mark personally as a dad. Like I think growing, like when I left App and then went to Tennessee and start collecting all these different degrees, racing with Eric and trying to, cross the finish line before he did, right? And so like we start to get in our mindset that we're better than what we really are. And so like our hierarchical perspective gets jaded and gets clouded. And so like we think it's us who's doing all this. Right. And in the back of our minds, I think we know, because when we look across this platform right here, like all of us grew up in Christian homes, right? And so we knew what the right thing is. We knew what the right thing we needed to say is. However, we just wasn't living it. And so like we started chasing that dollar, I started chasing that dollar, started chasing money and thinking that we were elevating ourselves to a certain status. And the second part of that, balance is the utmost important thing, and making sure that, you keep God at the center of it all, because, God don't ever give us more than we can handle.
That's right.
Sometimes we may think he does, right? And so at a moment's notice, all that can be wiped out. And so like, it's just so important. But the second part you brought up was the energy of the home. Like that home is your wife's castle, or your spouse's castle, or the mother's castle. And so to make sure that you are checking in with her and valuing her opinion to where she feels that she's appreciated and she's valued during that. So it's just critical. And that's another part that I think I missed until later on in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew that she was my helpmate and she was there for us to raise our family, but making sure I kept her elevated is something that I haven't always done. And so as a man, as a professional dad, in order to have a successful family, one, we have to be in balance, and we have to make sure we empower our wife or our special person to come alongside of us and make sure that energy is right, where your grandkids can be nurtured and provided the platform that they need to grow up and be healthy and strong, and that you can continue that success. So it becomes not only your generation, but it becomes generational, and make sure you develop that circle the way that you need it to be developed for your family to live on. And that name, Josh, can carry on many generations.
Yeah.
So are we coming up on the end of our podcast tonight? But we always end it with a weekly challenge for those that are watching and listening to us. So we're asking all of our dads and even our moms that are listening, do one of act of compassion for each child this week that shows tenderness and not just the provision. That's a podcast topic right there for
all in itself. True.
Just showing the tenderness.
Hey, I'll end with this because I got a text that said that Dr. Williams said, here's the text. When he said constructive direction instead of constructive criticism, that was a gut punch and extremely brilliant. Somebody just texted me that. After you said it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I needed to hear that again. So I needed to hear it from you. I needed to hear it from the text, but I also needed to regurgitate it out for everybody here, because that's wow. That's deep. That's heavy. That's facts. That hit you right in the mouth, for sure.
Well,
fellas, go ahead.
I'm happy to be with you guys tonight. Love you all. Thank y'all for
again.
inviting
Appreciate
me. keep doing the good work. This is God's work here. What you guys are doing, because it's all about feeding others and making others, look at, reflecting and taking the time to do this is important, especially after daylight saving time, because I'm supposed to be asleep right now.
We know you got a busy day tomorrow, but I love the challenge that you gave us earlier, that make our day constructive, that we're never really tired. Keep doing it. Things you used to pour into me when I worked for you is still following us to this day, just to continue to grind. Give the guys the floor like we do. Go around round robin. Just one parting shot that you want to give before we close out.
Man, I'll say that one. I just say that be compassionate. There's a way to be. There's a way to get strength there when you. I've strength and tried to come back in with passion, compassion, niceness, tenderness, whatever. The tenderness. That's something that I wish I had learned a long time ago.
That was good.
Ditto for me.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Same thing.
We love you guys. Be safe.
Good seeing you, Doctor.